Today's show is sponsored by the No Bullshit merch store on Teespring. Support the show by buying one of our tasty new t-shirt designs. We've got the classic No BS logo and the It's Okay to Be Right style, all available in shirts, sweaters, coffee mugs, and stickers at affordable prices. Do you want to look too cool for school? Order a No BS shirt today on Teespring, link below. Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we're talking about another popular video game falling victim to a takeover by SJW ideologues. This time it's a 5-year-old strategy game, believe it or not. Called Total War Rome 2, this computer-based PC video game is not just PC for it being on a personal computer. It's also going PC as in politically correct. Let me explain. You see, recently the game sent out a silent, unannounced update, which started making the characters spawn as female more often. And if this isn't obvious, well, the game is set in ancient Rome, where there were very little to no female soldiers existing. So for a game that supposedly boasts a dedication to historical accuracy and authenticity, this game is quite a confusing move to many fans. You see, while you're playing the game, you basically build your own little armies and bases, managing your supplies and battlefronts and stuff like that. And many of your dozens, hundreds, and thousands of soldiers are just created automatically by the game. And this is what gamers sometimes call spawning. So when these characters used to spawn, they would typically be more male, as was things at the time in this area. Maybe there was like 1 or 2 females coming up out of 100, but now, after this secret SJW patch to the game, the female spawn rate has gone up much more, to a noticeable 10 to 20%. Now this isn't the end of the world or anything, of course, but also, this is just unnecessary tinkering, and SJW pandering on the game maker's part. And it also shows a disrespect toward the dedicated fan to give money to this game and its company. And as we'll soon see, Rome 2's developers are about to pull a full Battlefield 5 move here, and say screw the fans, if you don't like it, don't buy it. That's right, they're taking advice from the failing Battlefield 5 game on this, and that will likely turn out just as shitty for Rome 2 too. So with all that said, let's get some more information on this story by taking a look at an article from Variety called Total War Rome 2 Won't Remove Female Generals, Despite Bad Reviews and Backlash. Check this out. Total War Rome 2 will not be removing the female general feature despite the backlash from some of its player base and review bombing on Steam. Creative Assembly announced Tuesday on Twitter. The controversy started after a recent update when some users complained that the rate at which the game was generating too many female generals for their armies. The response from developer Creative Assembly was firm. We have no plans to patch this out or remove this feature from the game. Creative Assembly also clarified on Tuesday that the actual spawn rate for female generals is 10 to 15% for some of the factions. The exceptions being the Greek states, Rome, Carthage, and some Eastern factions, which have a 0% chance. The factions which are an exception to the 10 to 15% rate are due to cultural differences during the time the game was set. The developer also noted that spawn rates can be affected by marriage options due to the family tree feature. Well, looks like they're claiming online 10 to 15% female spawn rate, but then there's even more when you consider this marriage option part. Apparently that was the update, and when your army has more married members, more females spawn exponentially. That's probably what people noticed in this change too, and it's fair to assume that the fans and the anti-SJWs might be overreacting here. Maybe. We are a bit defensive these days, and this is to be expected after the year we've been through. I already mentioned how Battlefield 5 went through this same kind of shit, pushing female stuff, and they failed for it too. And on the flip side, other games have been attacked for not forcing diversity, like with Kingdom Come Deliverance earlier this year. When that game came out, the leftists and SJWs tried to say it was racist and sexist because it was led by mostly white males, because of its setting and history, of course. Fortunately, those game makers stood their ground and kept their game historically accurate, but it doesn't look like Rome 2 is doing the same thing. Regardless if it's only 10 to 20% spawning female, that's still a little too high for this setting and time period. Now, it's not going to piss me off specifically, but I do feel for the hardcore fans and players out there who bought into this franchise for certain reasons, mainly to see a game that simulates a historically accurate Roman battlefield. But it appears now, because of social justice, Total War Rome 2 is abandoning historical accuracy in order to push for more females and to peddle leftist, Marxist, pro-diversity nonsense. Next, let's talk about them not listening to their fans. The Rome 2 players promptly responded to this change by complaining, and the company Creative Assembly promptly doubled down and said they were keeping the girls in, and screw the fans. And this is why they started to get bad reviews on Steam, the PC gaming service. But I'm not a big fan of this article and others calling this review bombing. This makes it sound like an artificial, staged attack in the reviews. But it wasn't. It was just a wave of people all giving the same, genuine, authentic, negative reviews after they made a pretty bad change to the game. To me, these guys sound like they like saying review bomb to discredit what happened, making it sound like some kind of anti-SJW fake review brigade. But it wasn't. It was just a lot of bad reviews because the game game had become bad. Got it? Okay, let's go ahead and move on. This response from the developers despite the game getting review bombed on Steam, meaning it has received a sudden insurge of negative reviews. Despite the fact that the game's release date was 2013, on the Steam page for Total War Rome 2, negative reviews spiked starting on Monday. Angry users gave the game negative reviews with comments like Rome SJW edition and I play a game to escape from radical political agendas, not to embrace them. Bad move, make it optional. And below this section is a chart of the spike of negative reviews. Negative reviews which the game deserved because it made a bad change no one liked. And you can see how misleading this report sounds, saying it was supposedly review bombing. They even mentioned that it came out in 2013, like that discredits the bad reviews coming out now. It doesn't, especially considering the reviews are the result of an update that came out now. Funny how they didn't mention that here. And it's funny how these reviews coming 5 years later is what sounds off to this reporter. Instead of the obvious, which is this game getting this kind of SJW update 5 years later, that's what's off. And the bad reviews are just a reflection of that. Clearly this Variety article is left-leaning, and they're trying to bat for this game here and its company the best they can. I guess SJWs like this like to stick together, but your trickery and propaganda tactics, that's not going to work on me. Community content editor Ella McConnell responded to some of the backlash via the Steam forums in August. Total War games are historically authentic, not historically accurate. If having female units upsets you that much, you can either mod them out or just not play. McConnell wrote, people saying they won't buy the game because there's too many women in it is fine with us. If that's their reason, we'd rather they didn't anyway. This comment, among others, brought McConnell under fire from some users, unhappy with her response. Some negative Steam reviews even mention McConnell by name. On the historical authenticity, McConnell wrote that there are many aspects of the games that aren't as they were in history, and for a variety of different reasons, in a September 6th post. Whether you get female generals or not is the luck of the draw, but if it bothers you, and as previous posters have pointed out, mods exist to reduce the likelihood of getting female generals, or indeed remove them entirely. This isn't the first time female characters in games have riled up some in the gaming community. Back in May, women featured in a Battlefield 5 trailer had some crying historical inaccuracy at EA. DICE general manager Oskar Gabrielson fired back with a firm statement that player choice and female playable characters are here to stay. Wow, they even bring up Battlefield 5 themselves as an example, but they're trying to shame the fans too with it, pretending we're the ones wrong for rejecting their SJW bullshit and pushing for more females and everything, particularly in situations that aren't historically accurate. In actuality, these game developers are clearly in the wrong here. They're the ones making moves based on their politics and political motivations, and they're also the ones attacking their own fans for rejecting what they're doing, even going so far as to tell people not to buy their games. And we all saw how that worked out for Battlefield 5. Their team member who said that was promptly let go because the pre-sales were so bad on the game, and I predict Rome 2 and its team, they could meet a similar fate. That brings me to this authentic versus accurate line McConnell said here. Not sure what this meant exactly, but sounds like they're playing word games to me, and they're trying to play damage control with this whole kerfuffle. I mean, I think it means that the game is authentic, meaning it appears to be set in Roman times, but it's not accurate since it's not exactly playing out the historical events as they happen, beat for beat. I guess that's what they mean, but it sounds like a pretty big cop-out to me, and an excuse for this game to be able to add more women for SJW reasons. On top of that, this is all so disingenuous. The fans and their issue with the game is more than just female spawns and female generals. It's also the female exclusive units in various armies, including the Roman Legion. I'm pretty sure that never existed, and I'm pretty sure that's why the developers are saying things are authentic now and not accurate, because authentically you can have women as generals and in their own units, because of course there were women around at the time, but it's certainly not accurate since there are very few records of this ever happening. And in my opinion, this is a new pivot for them. Going for authentic instead of accurate is a new move by the game makers to justify their SJW silliness. And the worst part of all of this is, what's the point of adding these females to the game anyway? It's not making things better, and the game's been out 5 years, so only the true fans are still playing it. Most of the players are certainly boys and men too, because girls not only play games less, they also are even less likely to play historical strategy games like this, like Total War Rome 2. So them trying to pander to and promote to an audience that isn't interested in the game anyway is pretty stupid, and it's gonna bite the company Creative Assembly in the ass later too, as it should. The response to all this has been nothing short of horrible. Attacking your fans and telling them not to buy is never a good look in any situation, but this one is particularly stupid because Creative is implying that anyone who dislikes this change in the game hates women and is sexist. But that's not true. It's not exactly about the women specifically here either. It's more about the SJW invasion of another male space, and the fact that this takes away from the game's immersion and accuracy. And of course, it's led to the company shitting on its own fans, which everyone hates. These are the real issues here, and if Creative Assembly and other game makers don't figure this stuff out soon, they're going to be losing more money and respect, just like what happened with DICE and EA with the Battlefield 5 controversy. What do you guys think? Should Total War Rome 2 have made this pro-female update? Was this company right to ignore the fans and tell them not to buy? And what do you think about SJW's taking over yet another gaming franchise? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. See y'all next time.